What up, underdogs of addiction family and those new to the channel? Today's video is about my craziest experiences while being under the influence of alcohol. I'm going to talk about multiple different situations I've been in while under the influence of alcohol and cocaine, and there's three stories. And these three stories changed my life in a positive and negative way. I'll explain later, but I'm going to talk about how these three events really helped me realize that drinking and partying could make for some crazy stories, but also some bad times. And I've really had about four or five events but I'm going to talk about the most important ones. So the first one I'm going to talk about is, this one is kind of funny. So it's 2016. My music career had started to do really well independently, and I started making some good money and started getting some national notoriety and success. And I had bought like a new Mercedes. It was like 8 years old. I bought it for like $9,000 or $10,000, which for me I was rich because I had like never had a car that was that nice before that I could pay cash straight up for. And at that time is when I really started to party a lot. Around my mid-20s is when I started enjoying drinking, and like I enjoyed the party. I loved going to clubs and dancing with girls and just the chaos of it. Just like, you know, when you're in your mid-20s, early 20s, like that's what's promoted to us. And so I thought that's what I was supposed to be doing. But there was a couple experiences that really made me think twice. I'm going to speak about experience. So I had a friend who lived in Panama City Beach, Florida, which is a beautiful place. And this is one of my best friends since I was 15. And he was always like hitting me up like, hey, bro, like, come to Florida. You're never going to come, though. You're never going to come, dude. And mind you guys, I grew up pretty... We were poor for the most part of my life. And then even when my mom got a good job, we didn't really have money for traveling. Up until I was 26 years old, I'd never even been on an airplane. Not because I didn't want to, I just never had the money. I was always broke, you know, up until I was about 26 when I had money. So I always told myself, once I get money, I'm going to travel. I just didn't know my first time on a fucking airplane was going to go down like this. So basically the night started off, I'm downtown at my favorite club. It's called the Society down here in Olympia. And you know, I have all the money that I could imagine for partying. So I'm buying drinks for myself. Literally would go to Guess and go buy a new outfit every time I went to the club. Because it was stupid. People who get new money and you don't know how to manage it, you just blow it on dumb shit. And anyways, I'm at the club, and at the time I really loved drinking Long Island iced teas because they would just get you turned up. And so I probably drank like 6 of them, and I was gone. And party's over, and the Long Islands, this is before I ever did cocaine, so I literally strictly was turned up off alcohol. Like I was one of those dudes where the right drink not only numbed me, but also turned me up. Like I didn't need anything else. And basically, I was like, I didn't know anybody who did coke and party. So like after the club was out, if you didn't if you weren't gonna take a girl home or something, I didn't really have anywhere to go because the people who do blow and stuff, they're very secretive about it, and so no one would ever invite me. So I said, fuck it, I'm gonna drive to the airport and get a plane ticket, and I'm gonna go fly to Florida. I mean, this shit sounds insane. For one, I am not glorifying the use of alcohol. I'm telling this story as a crazy memory, but also as a reminder of how lucky I am that I did not crash, I did not get a DUI. I'm driving up to Seattle. It's about a 45-minute drive from downtown Olympia, and I have to take a piss. And so I pull off into the side of the road on the highway and just take a piss. Just like the shit that you do when you're under the fucking influence. Like, dude, I could have got struck by another car, killed. I got a DUI, aggravated DUI. I mean, my life could have been I could have really fucked myself up. And more importantly, I could have hurt someone else on the road. And that's why, this story is funny, but I tell it with shame as well, because I'm ashamed of some of the things I've done. And I'm grateful that nothing bad ever happened to anyone else or myself during these drunken drives that I would do. This was a period of time where, from 24 to 26, where I would do stuff like this, where I'd get drunk and I would try to travel places, but I never got on a plane. But I was so gone, and I had the money, and I'd never even flown before. Get this, you guys. And so I'm asking people how to fucking get where I need to go and take elevators. And oh man, I luckily took a photo of where I parked my car, and that's another part of the story that's funny. But anyways, I go there, I buy a $500 one-way ticket to Panama City, Florida. I get on the plane, and I just passed out. Next thing you know, we're flying. I'm in Georgia, in Atlanta, flying, and we're kind of like flying into the airport. I'm like, holy shit, dude, flying is dope. This is so much fun. It felt like a movie because I was still drunk, and I'm in Atlanta airport. I'm just like, and I had this little shitty, danky ass suitcase that had like 2 pieces of clothes in it. I didn't have shit. But luckily I had money, and luckily I did not lose my wallet or my phone or everything. I would have been fucked. And anyways, I'm in Atlanta airport, and I'm actually just excited because at this time in my life, I'm making money, my music's doing good. Like, I'm kind of living a free lifestyle. I have my freedom. And so like, I wasn't that stressed. I was excited, and like, I went and, bought a smoothie and called my buddy, and I'm like, dude, I'll be in Florida in like 1 hour. And he didn't believe me, and I was like, next thing you know, I flew in there, and I was on this little small plane, and flying into Panama City. It's its own airport, and it was beautiful. And I had never flown before, so it was weird because I felt really bad about the drinking part and the risk I put myself and others at. But on the beautiful side is that, like, I went and traveled and got to see a friend of mine, and flew into Florida, and and I ended up having a really good time in Florida. Hung out on the beach. This is before I believed alcohol. I thought that I had an alcohol problem because I was still functional and just having fun. But this was one of the first times where I realized, like, man, like, when I drink, I drink different than other people. And yeah, so, everything ended up fine. I stayed there for a week, and then I ended up flying back home. But then when I get back to Seattle, I'm like, oh shit, where the fuck is my car? Because I've never there's so many different parking lots. And I was literally for a whole 2 hours trying to find my car. And luckily I remembered, oh yeah, I took a photo of it. And luckily somehow I found my car, dude. But that was a wild experience. And then the other, here's another experience I had. A year prior to that, I think when I was 24 or something like that, 24 and a half, same thing. I'm at the same club. I'm drinking Long Island iced teas again and AMFs with one of my best friends. When you drink those, you become the person where you're just so out of it. Like, you lose your friends and you're just fucked up. And somehow I thought it would be a good idea for me to walk home. So at some point I said, I'm bored of the club. I want to go home. I was so high off this mix of drugs. Mix of alcohol at the time. I hadn't tried anything else at the time. I just drank. And I just start walking. And next thing you know, it's like 6, 7 a.m. in the morning. I left the club at fucking 2 a.m. So I had been walking for about 5 hours, and I'm young, and I'm 23. I'm 24 years old at the time. My body's in good shape, but I can't keep walking. My legs shut down on me, and I'm somewhere deep. I don't know where I'm at, but I kind of have an idea. And I look over and I see a Cabela's. Cabela's so I walked from downtown all the way to the farthest end of town. I literally was walking for 4 or 5 hours or some shit like that. I don't know how many miles, but I was like, what the fuck? And I literally stood on the side of the road and I put my finger out, just that desperate fucking like, somebody fucking help me, I'm fucked up. And luckily within a minute, some dude picked me up and he was like, hey man, like what's going on? And I was kind of, I'm a big guy, and so he was like kind of worried, and I said, hey bro, like I know this story sounds insane, but you gotta believe me. I'm gonna be like, I was like, dude, I got really drunk last night, and I started walking home from downtown, and I just kept walking, and I'm lost, and I thought I was almost home, and that shit was crazy. But the power of those drinks, the Long Island and AMFs, like I was like charged, like the fact that I made it that far. But it's also scary. I mean, I could have got hit by a car multiple times. I laugh about it now, but it's yet another reason why I got fucking sober, you guys. Like, I remember he dropped me off at Cutter's Point, which is a coffee joint by my house, and like the girls there, like these really pretty cute Christian girls, and they saw me, and I'm just like, yeah, I got to go to the bathroom, because I didn't want to go home, because at the time I lived with my mom. It was just before I moved out of my mom's house, and it was just hilarious. And I remember calling my buddy and telling him what happened, and yeah. And my third story with alcohol, which is the one that really was actually the first time I really got drunk, really drunk, is when I was 23. And so you see how these were all in succession, but from 23 to 24, I quit drinking because of this experience that really messed my life up. Not really messed my life up, but it really fucked me up. And so basically same thing. Me and one of my buddies from the gym, we were at this bar across from the gym watching UFC fights. I had never really got drunk a lot. I just started getting introduced to clubbing, and I thought it was a good time. And this kid was a little older than me, and he was a semi-pro MMA fighter, but like he could really throw down. And we found like $200 or something on the ground, and we both didn't have a lot of money at the time. And he was like, hey dude, let's go downtown. So we drive downtown. He was the one who introduced me to AMFs. Thanks, buddy. And we just drink a bunch of them. And at the time, this friend of mine, he struggled with getting in street fights. He completely changed his life now, and he's doing well. But at the time, like I think he had a couple felonies already for fighting. Long story short, I don't remember too much of what happened at the club, but we got drunk. Next thing you know, we're literally outside, like those two drunken idiots just look. Me, not so much, but my friend, he really wanted to fight someone. I kind of was just going along with it because I looked up to the guy and I wanted to be cool. It's fucking stupid, right? And a couple people denied us, but then we run into these bouncers at the club, and it just so happened that me and one of the DJs were messing around with the same girl. And I didn't even really care at the time because I didn't really have feelings for the girl. But I just used it as an out to fight, and I was like, hey man, do you want to fight me? Like, me and you are messing around with the same chick and blah blah blah. Like, this bitch was such a scandalous whore, bro. Like, she was living with this DJ guy, and then when he was gone, she would invite me over. I had no idea they were together, and I never went back to their house after that. But anyway, so I felt kind of bad. Like, I didn't even want to fight this guy, but luckily he didn't want to fight. But there was three bouncers there, and the bouncers of the club. But I was a big dude at the time, probably the size I am now. And my friend Bradley, he's not. I don't even want to. Didn't mean to say his name. We're just gonna call him B. But my friend, he was about 5'8", 185 pounds, and he could fucking hit like a truck. And anyways, one of the DJs starts talking shit and telling me, hey, how does my dick taste? And Bradley didn't like that, so my friend Bradley's nuts, man, and he gets in the dude's face, and you can just tell that the dude was like, oh, I fucked up. They're face to face. Next thing you know, my friend Bradley throws a left hand, drops him. Then the two other bouncers rush my friend Bradley, B, and so then I just start swinging. I knock, at the time I wasn't training MMA, so I just knew my basic punches, 1, 2, my hooks, but I was not a trained MMA fighter at this point. So, I could have very easily got my ass kicked if one of those guys actually knew how to box, but luckily for us, those guys didn't know how to fight, and I was a big, strong athlete, so I was able to knock him down to the ground. We fucked them up, we beat them up, and then I felt bad about it because, I wasn't that kind of guy, but I had to defend my friend, and my friend was kind of crazy, and it is what it is. And then they called the cops on us, and next thing you know, we're flying in this Honda Accord down this road, and I can hear some sirens behind us, and I'm like, oh fuck, man, we're in trouble. And my friend, he's like a risk taker, so he's going like fucking 90, 100 miles in areas that are like 40 miles an hour. And I was like, bro, is this how I'm gonna die? Like, is this how people die from is this how people die from drunken driving? And I was like, fuck, man. And I really got to the point that night, you guys, where I was like, man, I guess I get this is it. Because I was telling my friend, I was like, dude, slow down, like we're gonna crash. And I said, the cops are behind us. I'm like, dude, this is all bad. What if one of those guys is seriously injured? And it was one of those situations where it's like I got myself in trouble, not because I wanted to be in trouble, but because I was hanging around a troubled person. And somehow I survived. But as the story goes, we're driving, we're taking a turn. So he finally slows down a little bit because we got to take a turn. But then our car, it skirts where it's like we're drifting. We kind of like Tokyo drifting. And the back trunk of our car hits a tree and indents it. I was probably about 3 or 4 feet from getting some serious injury because we were going pretty fast. We hit a tree, and luckily it didn't. Nothing bad happened to me. But my friend, his head went through his left windshield, and so his face was gashing blood. But in all fairness, we were okay. But we jumped out of the car, and this guy was a criminal, so he knew how to evade the police. And we hid in these boats. We were in like some rich neighborhood on this lake, and we hid in these boats, man. And I remember hearing like the dogs and the cops searching for us, dude. And I was like, holy fuck, bro, like this shit's crazy, man. Like, and somehow they never found us, somehow. And I'm not going to speak too much more on it just for legal reasons, but they never found us. I'm not going to say why they didn't find us, but we were able to walk ourselves to a neutral location, and we had family pick us up, and we went home. And I remember going home and like just started crying. My mom and sister were there. I was like 23 at the time, and I knew my mom knew something was up, and I was just crying, and I told her what happened. And I was pretty shooken up, because I felt bad about punching those dudes who really didn't deserve it. And then I felt bad, and my homie totaled his new car. And then the fact that if I thought that we were going to get in trouble, because I really believe they knew who we were. And somehow just nothing ever happened. The cops never came, and that would have been my friend's final strike, and he would have went to prison. So like he got lucky. He totally changed his life after it. He got sober for the most part, and he just changed his life, and he's never got in trouble since. I never had a drinking problem at that point. Like that was like one of the first times I drank. Like I only drank a handful of times from 18 to 23, and after that I decided I was done with partying and drinking, and I didn't drink or go out for a year. Eventually, I went back to the club, and I was manned up, and I went and talked to the dudes who we fought. They knew who I was at this point, but I apologized to all of them, and I ended up becoming friends with the guys, and till this day we're cool. And ironically, my other friend is best friends with the other guy too. So luckily no one got hurt, and it was just a big lesson learned really for everybody. But that was like the first fucked up experience I had, and I'm just glad I'm still alive and got to live to tell this story. And I'm not glorifying it. I'm telling you guys these stories to maybe help someone decide to stop drinking and to not drink and drive, and to realize that alcohol really puts you in a place that puts you in danger to yourself and to others. And there's countless stories of men dying, and crazy tragic stories of people killing people on the road and getting manslaughter charges and ruining their lives. And I've just been very fortunate to live to tell my stories, and I'm living to tell them now that someone else might make a better choice. I'm going to make another video talking about my wildest experience with another drug, but I think I'm happy with these 3 stories I shared about my wildest, craziest stories on alcohol, and the reasons why I wanted to quit, and have had a lot of sobriety. in the last, really in the last 8 years, I've had a lot of sobriety. I've relapsed and drank, but I've had a lot of sobriety. And it's just another reminder for me of why I'm on this path of sobriety, because, I really shouldn't be alive right now. There's a lot of situations that could have took me out. So I'm just grateful to be here. I'm grateful for this channel, and till next time, see y'all.